everybody, welcome back to That Fiction Life. Today I will be doing a book haul. So I recently run a poll and about half of you wanted a book haul, so here I am listening to the people. Now clearly if you follow me on Instagram you know that I have been getting books throughout the year and I've been reading and reviewing them, but when it comes to codifying everything in one video it seems to be an impossible task. So most of these books are from June, July and August, however I have included some from before then. Just as a little side note, all these books will be linked down below if there's a particular one that interests you, as well as an audiobook link, because I do have a link with Audible that gets you a free audiobook which you can then cancel if you don't want to carry on the subscription, but you get a free book anyway. I'm going to start with the two Cassandra Clare books, and the first being Red Scrolls of Magic. So yes, I have already reviewed this on my channel, but this is one of my most anticipated books of the whole year and I had to have it in a book haul. So if you are not aware, this is a book all about Malik and their adventures while on holiday, which goes completely awry because Magnus gets accused of founding a cult. So many exciting things happen in this book. I have a full review on my channel already, as I said, so I'll link that down below if you would like to see my full thoughts. Then the second book is Ghosts of the Shadowmarket. It is no secret that the Infernal Devices books are my absolute favourites. They have their own little stories in this bind-up of short stories within the Shadowhunters universe. So, you know, James Herondale is in this book. I love him to death. I mean, The Offspring of Will was always going to be my favourite ever, but the stories in this are so much fun and they add so much depth to the Shadowhunter universe. The next book I cannot believe I even have in my possession, and that is Fire and Blood by George R.R. Martin. Just hold on a second. It is signed by George R.R. Martin because I went to an event where he did a whole talk all about this book and the show and his writing in general. It was the most inspiring event that I've ever attended. This book is all about the Targaryen histories, so if the Targaryen house was your favourite throughout the series, this goes way back to the beginning. I'm very excited about this book. I've not read it yet, but I will be getting to it before Winds of Winter, which, if you're wondering, is still happening. And before you say anything, George brought it up himself. No one even asked a question. It was kind of the elephant in the room that needed to be addressed. But yes, he is still writing the book. It's still happening. We might get an actual succinct ending that makes sense because the show, I mean, yeah. The next book is one of my most anticipated releases for next year, and that is Infinity Sun by Adam Silvera. I adore Adam Silvera. His contemporary books actually break my soul into so many pieces, but this is his first fantasy book and his kind of take on contemporary fantasy. It's very sci-fi, it features different types of phoenixes and two protagonists that kind of get caught up in a little bit of a war. The next book I picked up at the Penguin Random House Summer Party, and that is Free to Be Me by Dom and Ink. I adore Dom, and this book is so incredibly important. It is essentially a journal that is like a little bit of a guide into the queer community. I wish this book had been published many years ago because I feel like it would have meant to so many people to kind of have something to turn to when you didn't have anyone to turn to in real life. And whether you are part of the queer community or if you are just an ally, I think it's such an informative little guide. You all know I love Holly Black, right? But my biggest sin is that I have not read her very first Fae series, Tithe, and Simon & Schuster released a bind-up of the old trilogy with a new story. I've been totally broken by Cardan and The Cruel Prince, and now there's other Fae that I'm going to be reading about. There are two rival fairy kingdoms, and our main protagonist gets caught up in this just because she happens to save the life of a certain Fae, and I'm already imagining the angst that this book will give me. I have a thing for royalty. That is one of my favourite things to read about. So when a certain book called American Royals appeared, I metaphorically just died. I'm gonna read you the summary because it sounds like the most epic thing in the world. You already know the story of the most famous family in the world, of how George Washington won the American Revolution, founded a royal family, and declared himself King of America. So you didn't come here for that story. You came to see what America looks like today, when his beautiful descendants, the Washingtons, still rule the land. I mean, this sounds very current as well. I think we're very used to seeing royal families in fantasy setting. The next two books have a theme, and hello vampires. My best friend bought me another version of Dracula. So as you already know, I own Dracula in many forms. I even have the audiobook. And now I have the most beautiful edition to add to my collection. And I don't think I need to explain what this book is about. It's the original vampire story. It is dark, it is very gothic, and is my favourite classic. And then my second vampire book is a dictionary of vampires. And you might be thinking, what the hell am I going to do with this? It's not like I have a vampire to look up and search in the dictionary. But well, yes I do, because there's a lot of certain legends that I don't know about. And this is sort of like a little encyclopedia about different vampires that are in different legends from other cultures. This is the most on-brand thing that I could have bought. The next book is The Poison Song by Jen Williams. The Ninth Reign, which is book 1 in this series, is one of my favourite adult fantasies. It is so intricate, and the main character, Vintage, is the sass queen of all the land. The way Jen portrays her characters is so interesting because the dynamic between them all is great. And this is the final book in the series. There's a quest in this book. I can't really tell you too much about this one without spoiling the rest of the series. But if you love fantasy creatures, you will love this series. I mean, they ride bats. How do I sign up for that? Now, I do not read non-fiction a lot. However, when it's to do with nature, and if it's by Steve Backshall, I'm first in line to read it. An Expedition, which, this isn't the cover, which you might be wondering. I took off the dust jacket as I am reading that currently, and I cannot have that get ruined. But this is what the real cover looks like. So this book is an account of one of Steve Backshall's expeditions to some very remote cave systems. The way it started is Steve saying, you think everything has been discovered on Earth already, but that is such a false view to have, because even a few miles down from where big discoveries have been made, no one has gone to the other side. They find so many incredible things, and it's downright reading like fiction, this book, because some of the things are so extraordinary that you wouldn't believe that this is a non-fiction book. And that's what I love about his writing as well, because he incorporates dialogue. There's one more vampire book which I forgot is in this pile. So we have V-Wars. This has a vampire war, and I am just so thrilled that this exists in the world. And if you are a fan of Ian Somerhalder, if you're on this channel, if you're watching this video, you know that I'm a huge fan of all the work he's done. He's going to play the Vampire Doctor in this Netflix adaptation of this book. So of course I had to buy the book to read it ahead of time. And these are very dark and vicious types of vampires. Now, if you are a budding writer, I would highly recommend Dear Ali, How Do I Write a Book? Ali Carter is one of my favourite authors. She wrote the Gallagher Girls series and Heist Society. And here, this is a non-fiction book all about how to write a book, but it's catering more to a young adult audience, which I think is very unique because most writing guides can be very dry and they're very technical. And they're mostly a guide to writing as opposed to everything to do with publishing in general. And I think if you're wondering how to get your ideas on the page, age and what even is a literary agent, this book has some really great stories about Ali's personal experience. There's also little answers from other authors. There's advice on how to know when it's correct to introduce a character in your story. Such a good book to dip into when you have a particular question. I'd highly recommend this one. Then I have Heartstream by Tom Pollock, and it really delves into just how social media is kind of wrecking our brains, because in this world there's this piece of technology where you can share your emotions with your followers and they can genuinely feel them. It doesn't just tell you what you're feeling, you yourself can kind of plug yourself in and feel those things. Social media has totally taken over the world, and this book kind of shows you the darkest side of that. This is sort of a thriller, but it also delves into mental health and how social media can have an effect on that. It's a very timely book. And then my final book has already got a review on my channel, and that is Sanctuary by V.B. James, my favourite adult murder mystery with witches. So in this world, witches are very much entrenched into society. Everyone knows witchcraft is real and they're written into the law. And in this small town, the star quarterback dies and the state detective is told to figure out the case, whether it was murder or not. And when she gets to the town, she notices just how many secrets this town is hiding. Some certain characters are holding a lot of shit they should have shared with the police, and now everything's coming back to bite them in the ass. It is definitely an important book. It looks at a lot of social issues that go on in the world. So things like injustice and discrimination and the Me Too movement. It is such an incredible read and I cannot recommend it enough. So I will link my review to it down below if you would like to know more. Those are all the books I'm going to be showing you today in this book haul. I hope you got some good recommendations. As always, do let me know in the comments which book sounded the most exciting to you, or if you're going to be picking one of them up. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and of course subscribe to my channel. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye!